resolution deadline. The motion to come out of.
We will get. I feel so bad for kicking out Georgianne. She's back in the room.
Chairman.
Oh,
Chair.
yes,
Here's
Frank.
Frank McKay Prox. I'm just asking for a friend. What's on the menu?
Chicken, of course. I don't know what it is. We should order steak, prime rib. I don't know what's on the menu.
Just a thought we can remind people about the booths that are out there, and that's one of them is the
Oh, yeah.
office of the independent police review.
Yeah. So just a reminder, there's actually quite a few booths and some of the presentations that have been made. There are other booths out there that are not presenting, but if you have some questions, get a chance to go see them. One of them is the Office of the Independent Police Review Director. They're out there. If you'd like to go see them, again, that's the Office of the Independent Police Review Director, OIPRD. So that deals with police complaints. I know that's a heavy issue in our communities. Some of that was discussed this morning, but if you have some specific questions or issues, by all means, there's a booth out there. We have a number of other booths out there. Okay, so we are back online. We'd like to welcome those joining on YouTube. We are back online. Those watching live, and I think they recorded and you can watch it later on if I'm correct. So welcome back. We've just had to deal with some strategy and some confidential issues. We kicked out government officials just because there had to be some strategy dealing with working with different levels of government. Community leadership will be following whatever their protocols are to report back to community membership. The idea is not to, what I often say is better to say it in my language, so the idea is not to keep information secret or hidden from membership, but the reality is when we're making decisions or strategizing on approaches to dealing with government, we're not in their back rooms listening to their strategy sessions, and we don't invite them into our strategy sessions. There are internal discussions that need to be had. So that's the purpose of going in camera. So we are waiting for the advisory councils to make their way back in, and they are next on the agenda. I'll give it to our youth co-chair, Walker. Do you have any housekeeping? Bonnie?
Just tell some good jokes. They probably didn't expect this in the panel to be so short. This is short, right? Yeah, it's a short. She's first. I don't think they expected it to be this short.
Yeah.
In camera.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, to the point.
Get people laughing at another one.
Yesterday I was asking my husband, all these people leave. Can you shut the door on the way out?
Yeah.
I said, I heard them last and I said, don't let the door hit you on the way out. He's trying to just break down.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It looks like we have our youth council here already, and we're going to start with you guys. So I'd like to welcome up the Housekeeping Youth Council with their updates.
1 minute, he said.
Okay. I'm on the spot. No worries, guys. You don't have to run up here right now, okay?
Yeah. Maybe we should come up together. A lot of times the committees do that, eh? Come up as a group to support each other.
Okay. Hi, my name's Mallory Solomon. I'm from Constance Lake First Nation, and I'm part of Ashkizadek Council. And I am also doing my master's in clinical psych at Lakehead University. And yeah, we're all introducing ourselves.
Bonjour, my name is Andrea Yesno Linklater. I am from Yamatung First Nation, and then the other side of my family is from the James Bay Coast.
Hi, my name is Cohen. I'm originally from Laxville First Nation. I grew up in Constance Lake. I'm one of the newer members of the Oshkatazak Council. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ramon Cataquapit. I sit on the Oshkatazak Council and Olafin YPC. I'm from Attawapscut First Nation and it's nice to be here.
Hello, I'm just going to briefly introduce myself. We'll do a more thorough one when I get into the update. My name is Eric Sanon. I'm also a member of the NAN Youth Council, and I'm from Poplar Hill First Nation. Thank you. Anyways, as that's everybody, I just want to acknowledge the other youth council member who's not here as well, Tia Quachigan. She is attending from online, I believe. Yeah. But yeah. And Keisha Umbash, of course. I almost forgot. Anyways, we're going to get right into the update. We wanted everyone to come up and introduce themselves. This update will be delivered by myself, and Ramon is going to jump in and do the rest. We're going to do it together. Anyways, let me get started. So we're just going to provide an update as well, an update on the Youth Council. But anyways, I just want to say hello, my name is Eric Sanon of the NAN Youth Council, and I'll be giving an update on the council alongside my fellow council member, Ramon Katakapit. And I want to acknowledge the elders, the drum, the Women's Council, chiefs, NAN executives, and the people, the observers, and the elders as well. Yeah. And I want also to acknowledge the territory we are in, which is Robinson Superior Treaty territory, and also the traditional territory of Fort William First Nation. I will also give thanks for having the opportunity to come up and speak on behalf of the Youth Council to the Chiefs. So thank you for this opportunity for us to be heard and to be able to share our work that we've been doing. Anyways, I just want to share our mandate as well. It's Resolution 12-52. It says, support for the Anishinaabe Nation Women's Council and Ushkadizik Council recognizes that the NAN Ushkadizik Council is entitled to proper recognition, support, respect, and meaningful engagement, and mandates the NAN Executive Council to ensure that the perspectives of youth can be heard at Chiefs Assemblies. The NAN Youth Council is mandated to provide guidance and advice to the NAN Chiefs and NAN Executive Council, and to ensure that youth have a voice in the governance of NAN. And I also want to go over the objectives of the Ushkadizik Council. I'll touch on them briefly. I won't read them all because I'm sure you've heard them all. Anyways, so objectives of the Ushkadizik Council is the recognized and affirmed voice for the Anishinaabe Nation youth living in First Nation communities and urban areas, to promote unity, strength, success among NAN youth, to be an advocating body on behalf of NAN youth at the community, regional, national, and international level, to accept spirituality and religious beliefs as an important foundation for a healthy and balanced lifestyle, and to be honest, understanding, and respectful of the diversity and uniqueness of others and our environment, to preserve and protect the abundance of First Nations traditions and values in the NAN territory, to strive towards assisting NAN in reaching its full potential through education, self-awareness, and commitment to well-being. Anyways, this is where I leave off. I'm going to let Ramon do the rest. He's going to do an introduction. All right.
Hello, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to thank you all for taking your time to come out here. And this is a very important assembly. And thank you for having the Youth Council come and give our updates. We're the next change, because when you retire, we take the mantle. So for the Ushkadizik Council update, we just onboarded 4 new members. Myself, Keisha, Cohen, and Andrea. And right now, Keisha isn't here because of bad weather. So what we've been doing is we went to a Healing Our Spirit Worldwide Conference in Vancouver, the Anishinaabe ASCII Development Fund Economic Development Conference, and Imaginative Film Festival, which I've attended. I sent in 2 songs there, and I wasn't expecting to get it, but it's crazy I got accepted. And the first song is called The Life of Water, which advocates for a clean water in my home community out of Wabascut. Second one is called Star Woman. Thank you. Star Woman's about our missing and murdered Indigenous women, and I made an animated music video for that. I also been invited to join the OFNYPC from KU. And Taya Kwachigan was elected to the AFN Youth Council. She attended the assembly in Ottawa, which was a big one. Ushkadizik Council and RMYC also won the Mayor's Community Safety Award, which is also a huge honor, and we're proud. We also attended the National Elders Conference attendance in Calgary, the Indigenous Residential School Survivors and Youth Gathering in Thunder Bay, and today here, we're at the assembly. For our upcoming events, we will be holding a youth gathering in the next couple of days, and we are in partnership with the Youth Initiatives team, and we're eager to host this gathering. I want to speak a few words about the youth gathering, about how it changed my life, and this is a really important gathering. It may seem ordinary, but if it wasn't for the gathering last year, I wouldn't be standing here before you. The youth council members going to NRIC in Edmonton February 21st to 23rd. And right now we are on selecting 3 new council members. Right now we have 7 active members, and we sent a call out in December for applicants, and right now we're in the process of choosing them. Closing remarks. Thank you for having us here. I really enjoy being up here, even if I'm nervous. You can probably hear it on my voice. But I'd like to shout out the chiefs, the councils, and everyone else that's here. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks, guys.
Good job, Eric.
Thank you to the youth council there. Honestly, being a youth myself, I really enjoyed hearing what they had to say, what they had to share, and to present themselves in front of you all as the youth of the future. Now I'd like to go on with NAN's representative, Women's update with Shirley Sutherland on the Women's Council there.
White Jake would say, good afternoon, good afternoon. And when everybody got told to leave, I thought it was over, so I was ready to go home. My name is Shirley Sutherland, and I am originally from Port Alvany, James Bay, but I have resided in Muscat Dam for 20 years. And so on behalf of the NAN Women's Council, I would like to welcome all chiefs and proxies to this Winter Chiefs Assembly. I would also like to recognize the drum, which was opened this meeting in a good way. Thank you also to Ann and I Spence for the prayer. I'd also like to thank the NAN executive and the NAN staff for bringing us together this week. The NAN Women's Council does its best to meeting monthly. At our last meeting, we did some brainstorming to decide on what issues we wanted to speak in our update. Today, we have only been given a few minutes at this podium today. As a council, we meet regularly to assist the Women Initiatives Department as they undertake work to support the women, girls, gender, divide people, and youth in our communities. It is a challenge as the Department of Women's Council is underfunded. We do make the limited choices as we have available. So I'm going to ask my colleague to take the rest, and thank you so much for all being here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brenda Fox, and I know everybody knows that, but I'd like to say my own name. So, I represent Mishkigogmak First Nation as a band counselor, and I also sit at a NAN Women's Council. So, I'm going to do a brief update on the health transformation. That's one of the portfolios that we have. I guess transforming the healthcare system remains a priority for our Women's Council. The healthcare system is failing our people, and we all know that from leadership to the grassroots, because we all have faced something in the healthcare system in our region that has its shortfalls. So I'm not going to go into detail because this is a very lengthy paragraph, but I'm just going to kind of summarize of what I kind of think. And we are facing a lot of, like I said, it's failing our people. The systematic racism is also very still poking its head there. So there we need a lot of advocacy in that area. And it's also, there's discrimination still happening for our people in these hospitals. And mental health and addictions is a really big priority because it has shown its head in many areas. Even this morning when we addressed the policing aspect, it does show that we really need supports in terms of health and addictions. And NAN declared a health and public emergency in February 2016 there seems to be a renewed focus on addressing urgent and long-term standing health issues in Anishinaabe Nation. Today, 8 years later, we have very little improvement in our communities and our people continue to suffer. So we NAN Women Council are asking Anishinaabe Nation, what is the status of the health transformation? Where is it in process? So and also I'm going to talk a little bit about the climate change, and I guess I'm not going to spend too much time on that because we see it, we're living it today. The winter roads are impacted, the animals are behaving differently, and the other thing that's really, I guess it's gonna, what we're afraid of as women is that it's going to have a long impacts into the generations if we don't address the climate change, because the way the environment and the animals are behaving, it will have a long-term impact. And we really have to consider that, and we really have to start looking at what the world and globally what climate change and how we can help in that area. So those are the things that are on my speaking notes that I needed to bring up. But I wanted to touch up on justice. Yesterday's Kagita Shinjagate, and we'd have to really start looking at our traditional laws and our traditional ways. Traditional law. I was born an Anishinaabe woman, and by the time at birth, I knew that I was a person of Anishinaabe, and I was already born with those laws. And the things that we try to incorporate are corporate laws. That's not who we are. We were raised with certain laws, and always from the creator down in terms of land and everything that we have to take care of, and that's what we have to do. I was born an Anishinaabe woman, and I really take that very sacred. That's a sacred duty. This is Anishinaabe men, Anishinaabe youth. We have a role, and we all know our roles, and we all know our laws. So with that being said, I think that's something that we have to consider when we sit around here, when we talk about these corporate laws that we try to use to govern us. So, you got you.
Hi, my name is Dinah Knate. I'm from North Caribou. Okay, I'm supposed to do community-based action, it says. We know that some of our communities are making decisions and demanding real action by taking things into their own hands. We need to support communities that take charge and do things such as banning drug dealers in their communities. And I know that's a big issue in all the communities. I often wonder why we don't help each other deal with this, what works and what doesn't. Well, that's just me. More information is needed at the community around court and legal proceedings. Many of our community members don't understand the proceedings and are not aware of the programs that are available, such as restorative justice system program that non-legal delivers. And I have a question about restorative justice program. Like right now, we are creating family and child services law. How come we're not creating something for the justice system in our communities? I think we should be doing that too. Anyways, community information sessions are needed, and we have a right to access programs and services, but so many of our people aren't aware. The agencies that deliver services should be coming to us and sharing information. Okay, and then now technology and technical services upgrades to the technology and technical services available in our community is needed. By not staying current with technology, we are doing a disservice to our young people. We need to be able to navigate the information and programs available that are assisted and supported by technology. the other is gender-based violence, and NAN women, girls, two-spirited, and gender-diverse people continue to be victims of violence. The Women's Council is working with the Women's Initiative Department to raise awareness of the issue and need for supports and access to services for those who are victimized and for survivors and their families. One issue that has been receiving more attention in recent years is that of missing, murdered indigenous women and girls. The evidence clearly supports that our women, girls, two-spirited, and gender diverse are at greatest risk of going missing and being murdered. But we also recognize that the issue is not restricted to them. Many of our men and boys have been taken away too soon. That is why we have a draft support resolution that speaks to the adoption of the term missing and murdered indigenous people within NAN when advocating for victims, survivors, and their families. We hope that we will show your resounding support when that resolution hits the floor. Yeah, I hope you guys support that resolution. And I think this about the men, we always think men are supposed to be the strongest support, and we have to support them too. We need to hear them when they come forward with their issues. Just because they're males doesn't mean they cannot experience the same as a female. So we have to support both genders, and regardless of two-spirited, we need to support these people too. It's very important. We accept all people for who they are. And relevance of the NAN's Women's Council. The NAN Women's Council has had a seat at the NAN's Chiefs Assembly for quite some time now. But when we meet separately as an advisory council and we sit in at the Chiefs Assembly, we ask ourselves, how relevant is the NAN Women's Council? Only a couple of sectors within NAN regularly invite council members to participate in meetings. The Women's Council was established to provide guidance and input to assist NAN corporate services in meetings, its mandate of working for our people. You finish off?
We're not being utilized to maximum capacity. We have a lot to offer. Our knowledge and understanding of issues come grassroots experience, and the female perspective is critical in developing solutions and creating positive change. I'm just going to say this quickly. You see the flag there that says unity, strength, and success. Instead of dividing, we should all become one unity, helping each other. Like we have 4 women council from west, 4 from east, plus we have an elder. So I thought I'd just throw that in. But anyways, on behalf of the NAN Women's Council, I thank you all for being here and wish everyone a good productive week. Did you want to say?
One of the other things that as women, the ladies have said, we do believe in succession plans, and we want to make sure that we encourage all chiefs to start bringing the youth and the young people that are exhibiting leadership roles in their community, so that they have a chance to experience what we face every day. I think that's what I would really like to encourage, that the leadership is that, you know, we say that the youth are living, are going to be our future. They're going to be living what we are building. So we got to build it well. Like Barney always says, we build well for them so that they know what they're going to be carrying for us. And we also want to take the time to acknowledge that we have one of our NAN women is not here. And it's not for me to say, but I think our elder rep is going to be able to acknowledge her. You got you.
Bonjour. Good afternoon. Jonia kamigok dego atik doten mikenak dejon vejago meteo. My name is Terry Fiddler. I'm from Sunny Lake First Nation, and I'm the elder for the Women's Council. I have a ex officio title. I don't have voting privileges on a council, but I sit there to provide guidance and direction and support. And I just wanted to acknowledge the council members that are not here with us up here. I think some of them might have been on Zoom, but I want to acknowledge one of our colleagues. Her name is Teresa Sutherland. She's from Fort Albany. I want us to remember her today. On Monday, when she was preparing to come here, she received news that her daughter had passed away. We don't know the circumstances of why her daughter passed, but our thoughts are with her, and we ask for prayers for her and the other ones that are not here, Bertha Sutherland and Celine Sutherland and Lucy. We want to acknowledge them today, and we ask you to keep Teresa Sutherland and her family in her prayers, and I believe that some of the women council members will be going for a day trip to Timmins to be with Teresa during the time that she says her goodbyes to her daughter. So I just wanted to mention her, and we thank you for listening to our presentation, and remember that all of us have a spirit in here. We have to look after that spirit in order to help our communities. Self-care is very important. So have a good sleep tonight. Miyamigwachkidin kabizindoshig. Maachkidan akumena nongum gagishkak. Minoyawan matsun meja bagsen menagok. Migwachkidaguna. Migwach.
You're supposed to say no casino tonight.
Thank you to the Women's Council for their empowering words. On the agenda now, we have our Elders Council, and I'd like to call up Barney and Lucy.
Lucy Long Peter and Barney Baptiste.
We're only going to take 2 hours, so be as quick as possible.
Okay, you have the honors.
All right. You give me the honors
To start.
to start? You sure? You sure?
No, well, I can do this part.
Okay, you do that part.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Anyways, yesterday, we had a quick little meeting, us elders group. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday was when the whole room was together about the drumming, the prayer. So we agreed to what was said yesterday about having a prayer every morning, and the drum opening on the first day, and then the drum on the last day, and whatever in between, whenever the drum is needed. And I think that looks like your handwriting.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, we'd like to recognize the Grand Chief and the council being here, and the sacred items, and of course, all the chiefs that are here today. It's really good. You know, the one thing that struck me yesterday was what Chief Wesley was talking about, our meeting between the corporate and us. You know, a real good question. Because from my understanding, in order to walk the good line, you have to know who you are. You have to know where you're going. And then you have to know what your responsibilities are. Without that, it makes it very difficult for you to continue the path. And inside of that path, if there is no ownership, if there is no power, if there is no control, and no sense of belonging, you're going to have more difficulty. Because you need to have a sense of belonging to what you're doing. I think you mentioned a lot of that. So it's really good. Thank you. The other thing I'd like to follow up on Chief Wesley, and how many times have I said over the past 3-4 years, is very simply, watch, you don't lose the way you are taught. You keep that well. The Creator gave you that. That is you. And that is what Chief Wesley is talking about. In remembering who we are as we sit together, making decisions on behalf of the people that we're serving. We always say that we will put our minds together to see what future that we can build for the people that we're serving. When we say that statement, we must mean it in putting our minds together. And it has to be put together in an indigenous way, in our way. It has to be based on who we are moving forward. It's so important that we do that. And when we talk about elders, what have we done as elders? For the most part, we have given support both to staff members, and thank you, staff. We've given support to chiefs, counselors, and those who needed it. We have given free of ourselves in counseling where it's needed. That's what we've done. We're proud to have supported individual NAN staff through the hard times that we had in the past few years in terms of the pandemic. So we did a lot of work there. Our role is always to support those in need, irregardless of what the issue might be. There have been times when chiefs themselves have come to this meeting, and they have come to me in tears. The one I remember the most of all is the chief that came to me in tears, this young lady, a young woman chief. And she said, "Barney, what do I do? My people are turning against me. I feel alone. What do I do?" What we did was had a long talk about what it's like being chief, what my life was like being chief. And we came to a good place. That young lady is doing well now, but it's things like that that we do to help our nations. And of course, as elders, we're proud to continue to serve in the fashion that we do, in giving support to anyone that needs it. On the council, we have also some men and women. So there's lots of choice there for somebody you might want to talk to. The other thing I'd like to touch on is and it's so difficult sometimes, you know, it's just difficult. I don't know how else to explain it. But we lose elders. And it's so hard, eh? It's just difficult. We lost Helen Cromarty. Gone to a good place. You know, we never had a chance to really celebrate her life when she was living. She spent so much time during the pandemic to protect the nations. So much time. And we never had a chance to really give her any kind of reward for the time that she spent there. And you know, as the Grand Chief said, Helen also spoke to me before she went to her operation that she needed to have. And she noticed I was walking kind of, my back was bothering me. And so she helped me up to the podium, put her arm around me, and she whispered in my ear. And she said, you know, Barney, I'll always look after you. So I like to feel that Helen is looking after me. At least there's that much that I can remember. And we very recently lost Harry Semple. Harry represented, I think, the true Anishinaabe. Spoke mostly his language. And I sat with him for quite a few years over there. And never once did Harry ever get involved deeply into the politics. And he always had some real good homegrown comments about what was happening. But Harry is now gone as well. And so those people then, we just miss them. And I don't know just exactly how that you would, how you explain that. What do you do? They're gone. The only thing I can say to you is, we have elders here now, we have a women's council, we have the youth council. Use these people for what they represent. Talk with your elders now because you don't know. A lot of us are getting elderly. You notice when I walk around, my back really hurts. But I can tell you quite honestly, at least I can feel it. Comes a day that I can't feel that. That won't be good. But each one of us elders, I think, are committed to serve to the best of our ability, and we can only encourage you to be honest and respectable, and to treat our elders the utmost for the office that they hold, to talk to them. And I'm going to tell you, honestly and from the bottom of my heart, what Chief Wesley talked about here the other day about this forum being Anishinaabe is so, so true. You remember the day that I was standing here and I asked you, when we were talking about justice, and we were talking about a specific matter at the time, and I said to you, what are your laws in respect to what we were talking about? What are they? That day I never received an answer. There are laws, but they weren't recognized. So when we get to this forum, as you're meeting here, what are your laws in this meeting place? And I'm of the mind that you can exercise your laws at this meeting place. And you can introduce the corporate law beyond that. It can be done. You can live with both. No problem. You can first talk about your own law, how you want it to work, what you perceive as an Anishinaabe. You can have that conversation and you can get into a conversation about your corporate law, about your resolution. The two can live in harmony. And I would suggest that you move that way. By the way, just in closing here for myself, I'm going to tell you that I was just sitting there thinking myself, as you know, I'm so fortunate as a father, extremely fortunate. I have my own executive council. My executive council is made up of my son, who is a deputy minister, Sean Batiste. It's made of Fabian Batiste, who is the police liaison, former chief, and it's made up of my other son, Jason, who is the tribal council chairperson, and then my fourth develops curriculum for the Cree school board on the Quebec side. That is my executive council. And when we get to meet, I'm really proud of that, because I get really good information sometimes that I wish I could share with you, but some of that is quite confidential. But that is my council, and that is Barney Batiste. That's who I am. And I come from Attachment First Nation. And I'm a First Nation person that is very proud of my chief, Sonny, sitting way back in the corner. I kind of adopted the guy. You know, I just love him, that's all. And it's a little First Nation, and I think we get along really well there. We have our ups and downs, but it's a good place. So just, again, I just really want to tell you, it's damn hard when we lose some of our elders. You know that? It's so tough and hard on us that we must continue to recognize the elders for who they are. And we welcome our new member of the Executive Council, Rosie Mosquito, over here. Really, really good person. Nice person. So we need to talk to these people. And you know what? Don't be kicking us out of the room when there's a subject matter comes up. We should be, as elders, able to listen to whatever is there. How else are we going to learn? Both of us. Would you kick your dad out of a meeting? I don't think so. We're not going to do anything to harm anybody. And there should be no secrets to the Elders Council. We've always had, Terry, I think we've always been sitting through everything that need to be sat through. So just don't be kicking us out. It doesn't feel good. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. I know Lucy maybe has a couple of words, I'm not sure. It's kind of the Barney and Lucy show, eh?
It's a Barney show. I noticed there's a lot of new faces in the room since August. My spirit name is Muskajuna Vegaskon de Shinhasan Namando Dem Egomagande Mashkegok James Bain Dosjin. My grand Namoshopan Nukumapan Egodande de Gaustijik. My name is Lucy Longpeter. I live here in Thunder Bay. My family is originally from the James Bay area, Attawapaskat First Nation. I'm losing my train of thought. Anyways, we met, like I said earlier, we met yesterday, and I just want to, just 1 minute. So yesterday, one of the other topics that we discussed as a group was the Kiwewin conference. David's back. So David gave us a little information regarding the Kiwewin conference when it first started. Kiwewin is a word that means kiwenanano, kakiano, we're going home, coming home. So we were kind of sad to hear that they wanted the Kiwewin conference to be held. That was the rumor. I don't know if it's true that it was going to be held here in Thunder Bay. And one of the things that David brought up was, when they had the Kiwewin up in the Saskatchewan one year, cash, right, Dave? Yeah, and they had bought a huge tent with them. But when they came back, they left that tent there for the community to use. And also, the Kiwawan Conference was supposed to be held, east, central, and west. Treaty 9 territory is our homeland, all of us, and it should be continued. The Kiwawan Conference should be held in our homelands to show that we support our people in whatever community the Kiwawan Conference is held. The grassroots people need to see us, need to see you, the organization, need to see the chiefs come into their territory. It would be very disrespectful, we think, if all of a sudden it was decided the Kiwawan Conference would be held in, Thunder Bay, Timmins, or wherever. So that was, those are the main things that the Elders Council that we talked about yesterday. So on that note, I'm very honored to be here again today. I'm the newbie. I started my first Chiefs meeting back in August, and I just wanted to reintroduce myself because I see a lot of new faces that weren't here back in August. Hey, good day. Kishimigwest. How?
I just want to give a quick thanks to all the council group members that came up. Thanks again for sharing what you guys had to say, your voices, your concerns, and all the wisdom you guys hold within your guys' council groups. Thank you. I'd also like to call up Grand Chief.
Miigwech Walker. Miigwech Nakmag. Kagi Yamuaz, Kagi Bajumuaz. Waskadzak. Agumina Ikoak, Agumina Kchihak. Gain and Akumago. Ewa Mago Gainoa and Kiots. Agumina Maud Mistahi. We chigwa gainot where megots gabodog bentkin Ksugumaka Nagmina Ksugumakanes and Kun. It's a witch shag, the Bekoikian Kawamagok Sihag, Gminovskazak, Duch Basko and Anakwain was made Kadaman and Kun. So I just want to thank you for your work and service. To the Elders Council, the Women's Council, the Youth Council. We heard your message that you want to be involved more in the work that we do for the Nishnawbe Association, that you're offering your gifts and your skills and whatever you have to bring to the table to work with us as a non-executive. And I welcome your offer, and we will work on how we can make that more effective. I also heard the elders' comments about the Kiwawan Conference and how important it is that we actually meet in one of our communities. And I know the value of having an assembly like this in one of our communities. And why I know this is there was a Kiwawan Conference in my community of Musquatam, and at that time it's small today, but in 1989 it was even smaller. And just to see all the NAN leaders there at the time, and the executive council, and all the other visitors that came into our population doubled overnight, and we were just so happy to host this very important gathering. And I was going to university at the time, and I was asked by our chief at the time, Frank Beauty, to help coordinate the Kiwawan Conference. And I often tell the story that I almost died really, because I was in a truck accident on the last day, and this is when Scott McKay Bain panel came to the QN conference. They presented a report, and I forgot somebody back in the community, and the communities and the airport is a bit of ways away, and I'm rushing back. I'm rushing back to the community, and it was a stick shift. And I just remember the last curve, I just kind of lost. I'm not sure what happened. And then they rushed me to I guess they found me lying on the side of the road, and they rushed me to the nursing station. And there was, I guess that's where that panel was staying, at the nursing station. So when they rushed me in there was Dr. Bain, who was one of the top doctors of the country at that time. And Ted Scott was also the primate of the Anglican Church. So Dr. Bain is cleaning up my wounds, and Ted Scott is saying prayers for me as they were trying to help me, and I ended up being a bit backed out from there. But I just remember how important this gathering was for the community. And I welcome your advice that we need to go back to one of our communities. It was never the intent for this upcoming QN conference to be in Thunder Bay. That was never a discussion. I know because of COVID that we had to make alternative arrangements. For example, last year it was in Timmins, and we were just coming out of COVID last year, and so we had to, and I know I wasn't on the executive then, but I know they had to make a decision where it would be safer for chiefs and delegates and elders to be at a bigger center with more space for accommodations and meetings. So that's why they had it there. And so this year, I think the plan is to go back to one of the communities. We will be approaching one or two communities if they can host this very important gathering in August. So that'll be the planning that will take place between now and August. So I just want to again thank you for your updates and your teachings and your gifts, like your gift of music that you talked about. I will look it up and I will play it tonight as I'm driving home. And as I said, on behalf of the non-executive council, we are committed to working with you, whatever sector it is that we are in, to involve you more in the work that we do. So, miigwech.
Thank you, Grand Chief, for your response. Thank you to the three committees for their presentation. So at this time, we're going to move right into the next topic, which is community wellness. And I'm going to call upon Deputy Grand Chief Annabette Achbanishkam.
Miigwech, Chair. And thank you to the advisory councils. We appreciate your words, and we have noted your words. Miigwech. At this time, I would like to call upon individuals to join me up here at the front. Clarence, if you can join me up here, Alaris, Daniel, John, and Raymond, and Micah, and Alvin, Harley. Watch everyone. I have the honor of working with a great group of men, and this is one of the initiatives that I'm very honored to work with and to work for. our Men's Healing Initiative was formed to support the survivors of a very horrific pedophile that preyed upon our children in the NAN communities. And we're talking about Ralph Rowe. In the early 2000s, there was a young man that came forward from Monument. He was the first to bring charges against Ralph Rowe. And as the years progressed, more and more men came out. And we know that there are still men out there. I should also let you know that we do have mental health supports in place right now. And we also call upon our elders to help support us at this time. I want you to know that the men that are up here are the champions of healing. They have utilized their voice and their lived experience to promote healing and justice. It has not been easy, though. We have welcomed your support, and I know you have supported these men in different ways. And I ask that we all, pay attention to what they have to say. We are going to be, how we're going to proceed with, is that we're going to have Clarence, first of all, do a brief presentation in terms of the initiative that we have taken in the apology process. We are working with the Boy Scouts of Canada and the Anglican Church in this process, and we have identified an empowering process for our survivors, our warriors here, to be the ones to lead this process. And then afterwards, we're going to have the men introduce themselves. That was very important for us to do that because they are the ones that lead us. We are going to be presenting a resolution, and there will be an opportunity to hear comments from the leadership and other delegates at that time. And then we are going to be having a ceremony for Alvin McKay. Alvin was the one that was the plaintiff in the class action, a class action against Ralph Rowe and the Anglican Church and the Boy Scouts of Canada. And through the 3.5 years of that particular process, in order for the court to recognize and accept adopt that particular class action, Alvin had to go through a lot. He was questioned and cross-examined by, the lawyers that represent the Boy Scouts and also the Anglican Church. So we want to acknowledge and honor him for that. And then afterwards, we will be having a drum. We will have the drum do an honor song. So at this time, we will have Clarence present. And then afterwards, we're going to hear from Robbie.
Bonjour. My name is Clarence Fisher. My spirit name is Nimakage Ganu Dijnakas. Both my grandparents on my mother's side and my father's side both come from Treaty 9 territory in Robinson Superior. And I'm honored to be here amongst the leadership of our people. But I'm also honored here to be standing with these men. And I've worked with these men and with NAN as a Men's Healing Initiative Coordinator for the past 18 months. And I continue to work with this group because I too am a survivor of sexual assault. But I continue to work more so with this group because I've become to witness healing. And through that witnessing of healing persuades me to continue my healing journey. So I'm walking with them on this journey. And it also gives me hope. And as the Men's Healing Initiative Coordinator, I come here to present our journey. And with that, I'd like to have you pay attention to our presentation. So Dibwe Benan Bunden Demawan project, we started out with a name, just a plain Jane apology project. You know, we went into this a year and a half now since I've been on. We had to develop a name, and we all know that you know Dibwe, you know, translate the truth. Bunen Debamowin is forgiveness, and to come to forgiveness, truth has to come first. So we've decided to proceed with that name. And with this project, we plan to acknowledge the harms and foster a path of healing. Next page. Where's my clicker? Do we have a clicker? There we go. Sorry. So the project, this is survivors in collaboration with Scouts Canada and the NAN's Men's Healing Initiative Survivors Group have begun to break trail towards healing, further healing. It's a survivor-inclusive apology process that ensures those who suffered the impacts of Ralph Rowe's abuses receive a meaningful apology and validation for what they've endured. It also focuses on promoting healing for individuals, families, and communities together. And our objectives are to facilitate a survivor-inclusive apology process. We agreed early on that this needs to be guided and the light needs to be shone upon an apology and how to get there by the survivors. We begin to develop a platform for Scouts Canada to validate and acknowledge the survivors with the delivery of a meaningful apology. That particularly, as I reached out to elders throughout my time with this project and these men to find out what is an apology, and I could apologize all day long with my words, but it's only through my actions that a real apology comes, and that's what we're seeking to accomplish. We also like to acknowledge and address the deep-rooted legacy of abuse that happened. And we'd also like to reduce the stigma surrounding sexual abuse and its impact on mental health of our people. It's unfortunate that stigma exists. That shame, you know, underneath that stigma lives shame. And when we talk about sexual abuse, even here and now, that shame exists in us, even as innocent people. And that's how strong that shame is. It has nothing to do with you, me, or any of us, but just those words trigger shame in our hearts. And we got to rid ourselves of that before we could begin to heal. And with that, we'd like to promote healing and wellness through a project designed for those directly and indirectly impacted by Ralph Rowe's actions. I'll give you a little bit of history of the Apology Project. In May 2017, a class action was filed by Alvin McKay, my brother here, and Koski Minsk on behalf of the survivors of Ralph Rowe. In March of 2021, the Anglican Church and Scouts Canada accepted vicarious liability. They were found through the court process that they were liable for what had happened. They had some responsibility on what happened to many, many young men. And throughout 2021 and 2023, NAN's Men's Healing Initiative served as an intermediary between Scouts Canada and the survivors group, these men, to ensure a survivor-inclusive apology process was taken. That was my job throughout these past couple of years, was to ensure that that's the path we took. September 2023, we established a survivors committee, and we met with representatives from Scouts Canada to discuss what was required for a meaningful and sincere apology. That meeting was pretty momentous because we began to recognize that the impacts were far beyond just the individuals, and don't get me wrong, the individuals are very important. You know, they suffered those wounds personally, but those impacts have gone generations, and that's what we did at that meeting in September. We come to acknowledge that, and we come to know that, you know, if that work and this apology is going to be done, that it's got to reach those people. It's got to reach those people, the young people, you know, the elders, the parents. I often think about the parents who sent those young men, those boys, to the care of this man, and what they must live with as a father myself. In November 2023, the Survivors Committee met with Scouts Canada's Board of Directors in Ottawa at their headquarters, or their home headquarters in Ottawa. And at that meeting, we sat in a sharing circle. And it was a pretty powerful sharing circle. I've been part of sharing circles in my lifetime. And this one it was one of the most memorable sharing circles because the men were allowed to express what had happened and the impacts on their lives and their families' lives. And we sat across from the board of directors of Scouts Canada. And these people, you know, they wept for the men and the boys that experienced these things. Some of the board of directors, their whole world was shattered because they had grew up with this image as little boys themselves of Scouts Canada, and they were, you know, they're because of where they are today is a result of what Scouts Canada represented for them in their mind and their hearts. But this was shattered. That's how powerful these men's messages were. So from that meeting, you know, we plan to continue this journey. And some more of the determinations we came from the Survivors Committee that is crucial for ongoing healing and validation for their experiences. Recognition of that beyond individual survivors, the families and communities have been affected and continue to grapple with the impacts of Ralph Rowe's actions. A public apology by those responsible demonstrates accountability, provide a sense of justice for further validation of survivors, and publicly taking ownership of expressing remorse. You know, we've looked at a lot of different models on how this apology could take place and what the benefits are, and the men have acknowledged that a public apology is meaningful for them to take that responsibility for what had happened on a world stage or in our nation stage. But that's not all they want from them. They want action. They also determined that we have to continue and we have to acknowledge and continue to acknowledge that many survivors are no longer here with us. And they should always be considered when discussing an apology. You might be curious on where's the Anglican Church, what was done in regard to the Anglican Church in this discussion or project thus far. On October 19th of 2023, this past October, the Archbishop Linda Nichols and the primate of the Anglican Church Canada wrote a letter to NAN Executive Council seeking assistance with accessing the survivors group, these men, and how best to offer an apology. In December 2023, a response letter was sent to Archbishop Linda Nichols requesting a meeting with Deputy Grand Chief Anabedi to discuss the apology and what our stance was at the moment. January 8th, that meeting was held. And we further emphasized that the survivors group must be consulted before any decisions were made. At that meeting, we identified that their organization, the Anglican Church, would like to engage in this conversation. But up until this point, they weren't able to participate because of the ongoing class action lawsuit. And a determination was reached that at the next Survivors Committee meeting, which happened yesterday at our NAN office, regarding an apology from the Anglican Church would be made in collaboration with Scouts Canada. The next steps our next steps would be continued collaboration with Scouts Canada, the Survivors Group, and NAN's Men's Healing Initiative. We're going to begin to schedule semi-annual Survivor Committee meetings to continue this work. Secure additional funding and resources. You know, my role initially was to promote healing for these men and to be a personal, to be an advocate for them in their struggles. Some of them are further along in their healing journey and they don't need me a lot, and some of them are just beginning their healing journey. And that's a lot of work. And when apologies came along, it compounded the work that I needed to do. That included with the class action lawsuit. It became, again, compounding. So that point particularly is pretty important. But we have some promising moves that are happening with Scouts Canada. We plan to develop a framework for the project. And we plan to begin the groundwork in securing partnerships with relevant governments, organizations, and service providers. With that, I'd just like to ask each of you as individuals to take this journey with us. Miigwech.
So at this time, we're going to ask Robbie Christachin to come and speak on behalf of the group.
Thank you to Nishnawbeski Nation Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler, Deputy Chief Anna Beatty, Niblinscom, Territorial Chiefs, colleagues, and guests. Thank you for allowing us to be here with some of our fellow brothers, warriors, Boy Scout survivors. There are many of us survivors still living today. A lot are not here anymore, and more are coming out with their own stories. It is meant for us to be here to be heard. Today we stand together, supporting one another and working on our healing journeys, holding hand to hand, brothers to brothers, on a common goal towards a reconciliation journey and process. An apology is forthcoming from the Scouts of Canada and the Anglican Church. My name is Robbie Kostadjan. My Christian name is Robert Kostadjan. My spirit name is Washtail Lightman. I am originally from Fort Severn, Washoe First Nation. My parents are Josephine Kostadjan from the Pomarden clan from Alawabaskat First Nation. My father's name is Leroy Kostadjan from Fort Severn. They are both residential school survivors and have passed on. I was born in Fort Albany at St. Anne's Residential School. My parents later resided in Washoe, Fort Severn, to live and continue to raise our family. During my teen years, I found my way back to Alawabaskat First Nation, where my mother's roots are. Today, I reside in Alawabaskat with my own family. We stand here today, the survivors. For 40 to 50 years, we have carried this burden of sexual abuse, a dark chapter in our lives, committed by one individual, an Anglican minister and a Scout leader. This burden has impacted us profoundly and deeply. What an apology means to me, to us, we are finally going to be acknowledged for the pain, suffering, and devastating effects the abuse has caused us all and our beloved ones, our families and communities. It will give us our power back and dignity. Give us hope to continue living our lives, become stronger, to break the cycle of drama and addictions, strive toward a straight and sober life, not only for us, but for our communities we are all from. This is a beginning of a healing for many and will give to us all, strength to us all for our healing journeys. To the warriors standing behind me, to the warriors that couldn't make it, to the warriors no longer with us, and the warriors that haven't come forward yet. The apology is for all of us, not just for us here, but it is for our communities because everyone was and still affected by this. To our leadership, our communities, our families, and to everyone that got hurt by this. Today we stand here asking our leaderships, our chiefs, to support and stand by us warriors as we work towards our healing journeys together. Work with us, support us with this apology to ensure it is carried out by the Anglican Church and Boy Scouts of Canada. They are willing to work with us, but we need your support. The legacy of survivors need to be known and taught all throughout Canada. It is not to be forgotten, rather it should be acknowledged, especially for our warriors who have since left to the spirit world. Their legacy and voices must continue to be heard. we need to speak for them and remember them. Thank you, migrants, for listening to us, the surviving Boy Scout brothers and warriors. And beside me is my wife, who has been a big support through all this from the beginning and always.
I want to say thank you for me had a chance to be here. I want to thank my husband and thank our brothers and warriors that are here today. I'm very honored to be there for him and to the brothers and sisters that are here today. I'm just so thankful. Thank you.
So at this time, I'm going to ask each of our warriors to come to the mic and say their name, because it is very important that we know who they are.
Wache, my name is Darren Spence, Martin Falls First Nation.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Al McKay. My name is Al McKay from Big Sur Lake. Grew up in Suka, Thurn Bay. I was 6 years old when I was a kid. By Ralph Roll. So many times. I couldn't tell anybody once I got dropped off when my parents wanted to drink. They don't know anything about it because they're always drinking and shit. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm my late mom. Anyway, I couldn't say anything. I didn't want to say anything because I was ashamed. Back when the first round of the lawsuit, whatever, I didn't want to do anything because I was ashamed. I want to be known. So after a while, my wife, they bugging me to go services. I said, no, man, I ain't no fucking rat, man. I was in that kind of mindset because I was always in and out of jail all the time. My whole life I've been out of jail. And I'm drinking all the time, trying to get rid of pain. Like, always drank fast, black out. I didn't want to be in this world. I hung myself twice. First time I was 19. Told my cousin to make me a noose with the orange cords. He looks at me and says, "Are you serious?" Yeah, man, let's fucking do it. I don't care anymore. Nothing inside me. He thought I was just fucking around, but still hung up. Next thing I know, I'm like going upwards, spiraling upwards. It's lights real fast. And boom, total blackness. Total blackness. And I can see myself way up there. A little white dot. And I was like crying. Like, I knew that was my soul just dying in total darkness. And that's when I said, I don't want to die, Jesus, please. I don't want to die. That's kept on going up, my soul, and going down, through darkness. Then I cried in my soul. I don't know how I did. I cried. I said, please, Jesus, I don't want to die. It's like a sign meant for me or something. And it was like, after that, I went back in my body. I started crying. My neck is just all black from the news. Orange cord. And that's when I knew that there was heaven and hell, Jesus and Satan. I'm telling you the truth, man. That's right, I seen, I felt. So, I prayed so much. I went back to my body, like my soul went back to my body. And I was just crying, fighting, and asked my dad to pay me down. I was like, then next day I woke up and I couldn't lift up my head like this. Right away I was like, look at myself in the mirror. I was like, fuck, total blood, my eyes is blood red and black. Black. That's the first time I see my grandpa cry for me. Eyes are beardy. Eyes are beardy. And that's my grandpa, huh? First time I see him cry for me, everybody cry for me. Keeps my mind, don't be careful for me. Always on a, I don't care. Kind of mood, like lifestyle. But anyway, man, it's all my care from Big Short Lake. I've been through a lot, I enjoyed my whole life. Tried killing myself so many times. OD'd in jail. And when I got back in my body, I was only 19 at that time. I'm sorry if I'm taking too long to talk. This is me and my life, I'm 46. I'm 46. Oh, yeah, 46. And, I always had problems my whole life, man. Suicide, homicide. That's why it's I was scared to go through with that lawsuit that my wife made me do, So because when anybody says, come on, baby. Okay, I'll do it for my family and my kids. That was back in, when was that, 2000, I don't know, 16, 17. I remember, okay, leave me alone, so I think, I was go see the lawyers, then, I don't know, yeah, did that. Went through the whole thing, started talking about, first time I told anybody was I was 19 years old. My dad, I was drunk. And it was a hard life, but that was my own choice. Thank you, migrants. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Daniel Matthews. I'm from Fort Severn. I'm the survivor of Buffalo, I guess that's what I have to say.
My name's Kurt Cutfeet. I'm originally from Big Shout Lake, so I'm a survivor from out of Big Shout, but I'm from Fort Severn now, so thank you.
I'll make this a little longer. My name is Mike Winter. I'm 62 years old now, and this happened to me 54 years ago. I'm the son of the late Dr. Venerable William Winter, who trusted in Ralph Rowe, who abused me as a child. And it broke everything. It broke who I was. Everything I wanted to do, I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to love anyone. And people know that about me. I didn't even know how to love my wife or my children and grandchildren. Even today, I'm very honored to be here, to be with these people. I feel honored by the grace of God that I'm still standing here. It's real what happened to us. Even when I go to church, sometimes I wind up leaving the church. Sometimes I still see the abuse in the church, and I can't be there. I want to believe in a God that I believed as a child. I want to continue loving and helping my people to survive. I was hoping my daughters would be here. She came from a life of homelessness, being on the streets of Winnipeg. She's here alive because of prayers of many people. And Nani, the one that is standing with me, helped her to have a jacket. And she's here. She's staying here in this hotel. My counsel is helping her, keeping her alive. And she's 36 years old. And my other daughter is here too, but I don't know where they are, but I just wanted to share that. This is real what we go through, and I'd like to see this continue. And I've lost my friends. They died. I've seen them. I've had them cry on my lap because of what Ralph Rowe did. It broke their lives. It really affected their marriages and their children, their everyday living. Now they're gone. We can't bring them back. What can we do now? What can we continue to do as leaders, you appointed leaders that are here, to keep this project going, to make this happen, to try and save one person at least? I know there's many out there that haven't disclosed, that are afraid to come forth. You only see the symptoms of alcoholism or drug use or broken marriages or relationships or not being able to keep a job. That's all we see. We see a person that's isolating. And so we wonder why. Why did this person pass away? We continue to go through that today. Please help us. Please help these young people that need to live a good life. I want to live whatever is left of my life. I almost completely destroyed myself too. By the grace of God, I'm still here. And I'm not ashamed to say this. I'm going to tell you. I'm always trying to tell everybody what it's like. God gave us a purpose. God gave man to have a wife, to have children. That's the proper way. Please keep this tradition going for our people. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is George Williams. I'm from North Cabo Lake First Nations, and I'm a survivor. And this abuse really done a lot of damage in my life with addictions, drugs, alcohol, and most of my life I was incarcerated. And for the last 20 years, I've been on this journey, and with the help of Men's Healing and other peoples in my community. It's been good. I continue to heal each day, and today I work for True Life. And what I went through, I try pass it on to the kids to learn not to go through that, or not to make the choices I made. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, my name's Harley Fox from Big Trout Lake. KI. It's my uncle there. I went with him as a little boy. Always laughing. But this was a surprise, actually. But okay, thank you.
Okay, my name is Bellamy Fox. In Beeson, they call me the sun. That means the besom. That's the shining part. Yeah, the shining part. And I was abused by that guy, Ross Rowe, when I was like 6 or 7, right? Around there, right? Yeah, but 9 years old. Yeah, 9 years old. And I kind of remember until then. I don't remember until then, man. And that's all I have to say. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
You got
Bonjour. Actually, to discuss Megan Agdodemic. My name is John Fox. I'm from Big Trout Lake. I don't even want to go into detail the horror or the terror I caused around your communities. I'm sorry for that. But I want to acknowledge some of the guys here that you speak. They've never really shared in our circles. So for them to speak up like this in this capacity takes a lot of courage. I barely even hear from them. So I'm glad you took the time to listen. Also, Alvin suffers from insomnia. So you see him nodding off. So if you think when you don't have enough of your sleep, remember him, because he doesn't really sleep. Some of us, one of us here that's standing hooks up to a dialysis machine every night just to be here. Some of us have shot ourselves, me and my brother. A lot of us have tried to harm ourselves or leave this world one way or another. Most of us have been in jail, in and out. A lot of us have done more time than others. And always surprises me, these men. I surprised myself. So I had a grandson. I thought I'd never see that day when I held him Yeah. It's thanks to women. My mom, who left us recently, another woman who take me on as their son, and a woman that survived me, not just her, but another one. She survived me. And I thank her for showing me how to be more kinder to myself and more patient. Without them, I wouldn't be here. So is my wife here, Maji.
Bonjour, my name is Beatrice Fox. I'm from KI. So I want to thank everybody, thank these men, and I'm always happy to support my husband in any way and whatever he does. Miigwech.
Miigwech. My name is Raymond Beardian. I'm from Muscatine. It's been quite a trip for me. How I began to get my healing was through this program that we're trying to get support from. And from there, I decided to become a sun dancer. And I've been sun dancing for 9 years now. And that's where I got my healing from. I would also want to mention my little brother, Peter Paul Nothing. He didn't make it. And my cousin Dino McKay. I always speak for these because I don't want them to be forgotten. From the Sundance, I didn't know anything about the Sundance when I first started out. And as I look around here, I see quite a few people that I've Sundanced with. And everywhere I go to Sundances in Manitoba. I first started out in Madison, Ontario. I danced for 6 years there. And then I went to Moose Lake, Manitoba for 4 years now. In God's Lake, 2 years. And that's how I was able to find my healing journey was from this program that we're trying to get support from. One of the facilitators, the people that came to speak, I didn't know that he was a Sundance chief. And he began mentioning this the native way of life, how we used to live before, the way we were back in the day. I was still drinking then, and that was my last resort, was to join the Sundance. And that's how I became to find my place, my healing journey. It's this month my 9 years of sobriety. It's because of Sundance. And I attend a lot of sweats everywhere. Every chance I get. And I'm the only Sundancer where I'm from, Muscat Dam. I'm the only one that does sweats. No. I'm honored to speak. I'm very honored to speak in this Chiefs Conference. No. Thank you very much. That's all I got to say.
I just wanted to share a bit of my story. A lot of the guys, a lot of my brothers here, they spent a lot of time in jail. But I went the other direction. I became a police officer for all the wrong reasons. I became a police officer because I thought I could find my abuser and I could do something to him. But what I found was every person I came across that would make me mad became my abuser, and I would take it out on them. I would use a lot of excessive force, and a lot of times their kids were around, and I would see myself as a young guy. I saw myself in them, and I ran as far away as I could. I went to Alberta, and I stood there, and I stayed there as long as I could. I didn't want to talk to my family because it reminded me of things that happened when I was at home. These healing journeys are something that, it's very scary. It hurts a lot. It makes you feel like you're not in control. But the initiatives like this, and hearing with my brothers and sisters what they've gone through, and in their lives, and to hear their stories, and I can share mine, and have initiatives like this, where I could come to a space where I am able to share my stories, and not view it as that person that I'm speaking to is my abuser, that I can feel safe, and that I can forgive my mom standing beside me. I was so mad at her for a long time because she was my mom and she was supposed to protect me. But I know that it was part of her healing journey as well. But initiatives like this can really stop the cycle. My son is a straight A student and plays AAA soccer. My daughter is a top 3% in the province in academics. She dances at the Royal Academy of Dance. Some of you might know like the Juilliard. This is the top dance academy in Canada. I'm so proud of them. If we continue initiatives like this, we can stop the cycle. We can be good dads. We can be good husbands. I terrorized so many women. My first wife, that poor girl, she went through so much. I've been hearing these guys, and when they talk about starting to forgive themselves, that's where I found that, I was able to start forgiving myself as well. And I could stop treating women like objects and looking at them as something that as a quick fix or something like that. I was respecting women, learning their ways, learning our ways, learning who I am, my identity. Running from it for so long, I was able to come here and learn about myself and learn that I'm able to be kind, that I'm strong, that I'm smart, that I'm not dumb, that I'm not worthless, like I was told. I'm not useless, like I was told. I'm not a piece of garbage. I commend you all for all the work that you guys do. And, when I have extensions of my family, I call my brothers and my sisters. And these guys have become my brothers. And their wives have become my sisters. And we've started to become something that we missed in our lives was family and love and kindness. And it's going to continue, and we're continuing within our children and our grandchildren. I'm the youngest one in this group. For right now, but there's others out there. And I know it because I run into them all the time. And you just get a vibe from them. You know that there's something that's in them. You know that and eventually it comes out that this thing, this person that caused us so much pain is, a lot of us have something in common. But I'm just really proud of the guys coming forward, coming up here. Some of the guys couldn't make it. Proud of them for coming through. I want to acknowledge the other workers that came forward: Peter Sackety, Marla Murray, Miranda Eacham, and now we have Clarence. And Clarence has really become one of our brothers. And we're all walking the path together. We're all in different stages of our path, but I'm just so thankful that we've had these opportunities to come together and have a place where we can safely talk about our journeys and where we are, and encourage one another and support one another. I'm always talking to John and Stan, and it's just, it just brings us together. And I'm glad that NAN is able to bring all of you guys together as well, and allow us this time to speak and share our stories. Miigwech.
Miigwech. For those of you that may not know Ralph Rowe has been described as the most prolific pedophile in the history of this country. He was a police officer in the 60s in Southern Ontario, mainly in the Anishinaabe territory in Manitoulin Island. But in around 1971, the Anglican Church of Canada hired Ralph Rowe, or they trained Ralph Rowe to be a minister. And they also gave him a plane because he was a pilot. And so he had access to all our communities in the remote north all year round. He would have a float plane in the summertime, a ski plane in the wintertime. And then the Boy Scouts of Canada, when they heard that this guy was working for the church, they hired him to be also a Boy Scout leader. And so he had all this access to our communities, including my community of Musquat Dam, and he just flew all over the place. And I remember the first time that he came to my community of Musquat Dam, it was like you could hear this plane in the summertime, and it was very rare in those days, in the early 70s, to actually have a plane come into your community. But we heard this plane, and back in the day, all of us in the community, our little community, would go down to the dock. And you could see this plane was coming closer and closer. We were there, and out stepped from this plane this white man wearing a collar, and introduced himself as the minister of the church. And so that's how he began. That's how we was able to gain access to our communities. And from 1970 to the 80s and to the 90s, it's been estimated that he abused over 500 children. Over 500 children. And many of those, as my friend Raymond mentioned, were my classmates as well, from my own community. And what makes it even more painful for these survivors that are up here is that they also had to try to convince, in some cases, their own parents, their own church leaders, that they'd been harmed by this person, because in many instances they were not believed. And I remember the first time that a group of these survivors came together in the early 90s, and they brought charges against Ralph Rowe. And there was a court hearing in Waterman Lake in 1993. And I was a deputy chief in my community at that time, and I heard about this court hearing that was going to happen in Waterman Lake, and we chartered a little plane, myself and a few other mental health workers and trained counselors to go there and be with the survivors that were there, because we knew that they needed support. And what was telling about the setup at the small gymnasium in Waterman Lake is when you walk in. When I walked in, on one side is where the survivors that had brought charges against Ralph Rowe. I forget how many, maybe 6 or 7 of them. Micah was one of them. And on the other side was Ralph Rowe. And who was sitting with Ralph Rowe? Most of the native clergy from the surrounding communities. And the people like Micah and the survivors were by themselves. And that's where we went and we sat with them. Because even then, I knew that it must have been so hard for them to come to that point where they had enough courage to tell somebody, a police officer, a lawyer, to bring those charges against this individual, Ralph Rowe. And now we are getting phone calls from the Anglican Church that they want to apologize. And we've been working with the primate, that's the leader of the Anglican Church of this country, telling us how that apology should be done in a way that will bring some measure of healing to these guys behind me. But it's not just them. It's their partners, their spouses, their kids, their grandchildren. In terms of the harm, you cannot measure it. We cannot calculate the degree and the scope of the harm that's been done to our communities. If you look at the suicides in the NAN territory starting from 1985 to 1986, 87, you will see that the hardest hit communities in the mid-80s were Kingfisher Lake, Winneman Lake, Wapkika, KI, and these are the communities where Ralph Rowe actually lived in. And he would travel from those communities to other communities. And when we talk about where we are right now with the many social challenges that you try to address, or that we are all addressing in our communities, you can trace that back to this devastating legacy of Ralph Rowe. We know that out of that, over 500 of those that he harmed and abused, many of them are no longer with us. That they chose to end their pain by ending their life. And I'm just so grateful to see these brave individuals that are still here with us. And I can name names that some of those have been named that not only took their lives, but they also they gave up hope. And one of them is one of my brother-in-laws from North Caribou Lake, Lloyd Sayakip. He was here in Thunder Bay for 4 years, just in the streets. I mean, sometimes you would see him. It's like you couldn't reach him. It's like you couldn't do anything that would bring him back. And he passed away in October of this year. And so I just want to acknowledge his wife Tracy, their kids. And that's a story of so many of these young men that were harmed. That it's not only impacted their own lives, but their kids, their grandchildren, and similar to the Indian residential school experience, is having a intergenerational impact. And many of them are in jail. And that's the other thing that, as leaders, as political leaders, as church leaders, we also need to recognize the fact, the injustice that they faced while Ralph Rowe he's enjoying his freedom in Surrey, BC. And many of these guys are in jail. And when you talk about the rates of incarceration of our people in Thunder Bay or Kenora or Monteith and elsewhere, you can trace back to what you heard here today. And so I just want to say to them that we stand with you. We will support you, and we will do everything we can to ensure that you stay on that healing path. Yes.
So at this time, I would ask our warriors and those that are standing with them to come around the drum, and we're going to have our elders come and also do a ceremony for them. Elder Terry, like is it? Okay. So if you can get in around the drum. The very first ceremony that we are going to do is to honor Alvin McKay. Alvin McKay, as we said earlier, was the plaintiff in this class action. And we must honor him for his courage and the strength that he has demonstrated.
Okay, so we're going to call for a break for 15 minutes. It's very heavy. So 15 minutes, reconvene at 5, and supper's been ordered in. So if you need to, so 5 o'clock.
Well, it works.
See, Adam's eating already.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to reconvene, but I've also been told that the supper is ready. So, and there also been advised that there has been enough supper prepared for the delegates and the committees. It's limited. So if the delegates, and I'm aware that, you know, some people are diabetic and need to eat. So if the delegates would want to grab their plate and come back into the room, then we can reconvene.
It's ready?
Huh?
It wasn't quite ready when I was there.
Oh, really?
But if they
Oh,
said it's ready, then.
Yeah, Charlene just said it was
Okay,
ready.
well,
So
good.
maybe you want to double check? Do you want to double check, see if it's ready?
The dinner?
Yeah.
It's there, but I didn't see
Yeah.
it.
If not, just order a bucket of KFC.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, put it to Adam's.
If there's not enough KFC, to get none in.
Adam's pizza.
So the staff is going to go check to make sure it's ready. So if the delegates want to grab a plate and then come back into the room, then we can reconvene. I guess Bobby's on next, right? So the supper is ready, so if the delegates and the councils want to go and grab a plate and then come back into the room, that'd be great. And we'll try to start as soon as possible. Leo, can I put you on the spot to say a prayer for the food? Okay. Leo is going to offer grace. If we can stand, please. Put you on the spot. I'll put you on the spot.
Mr. Hugitsumantu Utawanan Gishigok Shoel Manan Skagishigak Kitsigi Tipitutamaki Gona Kaisi Pagusela Muyak Tutamagnus the Jetigita Kinatutamati Dalmaga Kitsimilogetaman Homagi Gonga Jutinamak Kitsimiloskaguyak Neonagnis Tundachakona Vilos to be a good Kikusis. Amen.
So if the participants delegates want to go grab their plate and then come back into the room, then we can start.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Not sure what time it is. I know some chiefs are getting their meal. We will proceed. Go ahead and enjoy your meal. Don't rush. But we'll continue on with business. So just to let you know, there was a resolution dealing with the presentation and the ceremony that we just had. It was felt that because of the fact that it is a very heavy topic that we just dealt with, very powerful, emotional issue, we wanted to take a break, so we took the break. We're having a dinner, but we need to proceed. But the actual resolution that we are dealing with on that matter, we'll deal with when we deal with resolutions tomorrow, so just to let you know. At this point, we will have a presentation there. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse. Oh, he's right here.
Right here.
There he is. Elvis is right behind me.
Yeah.
So there are a number of resolutions as part of the presentation. So there's about 3, potentially 4 presentations, number of resolutions. There's also a requirement to go in camera at some point. So we'll proceed on that basis. Obviously, we can't deal with resolutions if we don't have quorum, but I know some chiefs are just still getting their meal and making their way back in. So with that, a number of agenda items, but I'll give it to Deputy Grand Chief Narcisse to introduce those items as he goes. Miigwech.
2 minutes, huh? Oh, I even got cut off from the screen. So. Okay, bonjour, Kenwiag, Neen Bobby Narcisse Nijnikaz, Chimigwet, Kenwigama Yawaj, Ganin Monakanot the Badjum, Kengago Gin Wataj, Jake Mangamo. Good evening, chiefs and delegates. My name is Bobby Narcisse. I'm your Deputy Grand Chief. And I'd like to just give an update on what's been happening within social services. A lot of work that's been, a lot of things have been happening, especially with our children, youth, and families. We have intervener status at the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, which found the federal government guilty against discriminating against your children. So over the years, like we've been ensuring that Anishinaabe Nation has standing within these proceedings. The reason being, well, you all know that Anishinaabe Nation, their community is in Treaty 5 and Treaty 9. We all really go through various stages and challenges of remoteness. Many of our communities are fly-in, many of our communities are also drive-in as well, road access. So a lot of the work pertains upon our access with respect to remoteness. So we made it very important and imperative that the work that we're doing within child family services and in social services really looks at needs-based resourcing, really looks at ways of how we secure resourcing at the community level. Because I've said this many times before, that, and also our leaders have said this too, that we're in a very unique situation. We have unique challenges, and we require unique solutions to many of those areas. So I'm just going to do a presentation on some of the immediate things that's been happening. Just more recently, we just finished a Anishinaabe Nation-wide band rep conference. So we had the band reps. I know across Anishinaabe Nation, we're at various stages of developing the band rep program. And a lot of chiefs are wondering, like, what is band rep? Like, what's that supposed to do? So those are some of the resources we were able to secure and acquire through our Canadian Human Rights Tribunal process. Many communities are off and running. They're opening up offices in Winnipeg or in Thunder Bay. They're also providing services for children, youth, and families both on and off reserve. You know, you as chiefs know, you get calls almost every day from community members wanting assistance with basic needs, food, they need some legal help, all those different things that we want to push forward, especially within child and family services. Like, we're moving from an era of, you know, from Child and Family Services, where they always was focusing on apprehension. Over the past few years, we want to move that focus to prevention and also preservation of the family. So we've been working alongside with many of your communities and our tribal councils as well, mainly the band rep conference. So we have a couple of shots of what happened last week. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, so you could just run this little PowerPoint that I got here. Yeah, so NAN hosted the band rep conference last week. We had close to 140 delegates from across the territory, which consisted of, chief and council, health directors, band reps, Jordan's principal workers, and also our Child and Family Service Agency. We heard many times, especially at this Chiefs Forum, that there's a lack of communication between the agency and First Nations and vice versa as well. So we want to have a forum where we got the agencies there, we got the band reps there, and just to basically look at maximizing all the resources that are available to you and your children. So we had that band rep conference last week. Next slide. Yeah, there's, yeah, you could turn the next one there. So as you can see, we had like Saul and Grand Chief there, and a lot of delegates. Go ahead. Next one. Our youth and our Women's Council and our Elders Council. Like we said before in their presentations early on, we need to really involve them. We need to involve our Youth Council, our Women's Council, and our Elders Council. And we made sure that they also had a voice there in all the proceedings, what happens with their Child and Family Services, and all those areas that revolve around prevention and preserving the family unit. Next. Like I said, we had a great open house and presentation from Sandy Lake's Mamo Wichiwewen band rep program. They opened up an office just a few months ago in Winnipeg to really service their children, youth, and families in the Winnipeg area. I believe they're also doing another they're opening up their offices here in Thunder Bay too, with the grand opening at the end of February. So we'll be stay tuned to watch that. And our delegates were able to go and see firsthand their offices and what they offered, whether it be food, basic needs, counseling, mental health pieces. So it was great to really visit their offices as well. And also we said that we have agencies there. Tikanagan was there. They were able to share their model. A lot of times, due to lack of communications, the relationship between our agencies and our families have been very challenging and a lot of pressure as well. So we want to really start off with an environment where we could hear many of those challenges. Why our children are going into care? What are some of the root causes that we need to really look at in terms of preserving the family circle? Next slide. And that's it. I just got turned off. I was kidding. No. So that was the thing. So we brought everybody to Winnipeg. So that was only just initial meeting that we had. We know that there's more work that needs to be done. There's a couple of communities that haven't really started their band rep yet. And as through our negotiations, we were able to secure funding, even startup funding, for many of our First Nation communities who haven't really accessed band reps or First Nations reps as well. And the thing that we heard throughout the whole times is too that at times we don't know how to get the band rep program going. What is a band rep? How do you want to develop your band rep program? Like, do you want to ensure that there's also supports for off and on reserve? And we see a lot of that as well, and we'll work with you and your First Nation community to ensure that you are properly resourced to do that work as well. So we are planning to have regional sessions as well, because like I said, we only had limited space. We had 140 delegates from across Anishinaabe Nation, and there's a lot more other delegates that wanted to come, but they couldn't. And so we want to have an opportunity even to do one-on-one. I've been on the phone all day today as well, working with some of those communities that don't have it, and how could we get the ball rolling to really maximize those those resources. So that work continues, and some communities are in various stages. They're in infancy, or they're still developing it. So we'll continue to work with your First Nations to ensure that you have those resources going towards your area. Another thing I just want to also mention too, regarding the success of the band rep program is that's basically our role within our department, is to really secure those resources that go straight to your community. So it could be developed at the community level on how you see fit to develop those areas. A reminder is that, like, even the Choose Life program, that was born out of the need to really combat a lot of the high suicide crises that is plaguing many of our communities across NAN, whether it be fly-in or road access. So Choose Life is a very integral part of the community, and we still have the Choose Life table. It's going to be still evolving to really encompass even what we are working with the Grand Chief's Office and our infrastructure department, is looking at youth hubs across Anishinaabe Nation territory to really have that Choose Life component to it. We've helped also First Nation communities too that require extra funding with Choose Life. I know during the holidays has been very stressful for many of us. I know it's usually a time for family, but I know that many of our communities have experienced loss, and we were able to work through our Choose Life teams with various First Nations to really secure more funding, or what we call surge funding. Like if your Choose Life program have already expended its resources for the year, we'll work with you to secure additional resources through an initiative called the surge funding. So I know we helped various communities in that regard, securing those resources as well, and we'll continue to do that. Even with the fact that Choose Life also supports already existing program within your education system, like land-based healing, land-based education. You know, we turn to the attention with even Yamatung First Nation, you know, with the unfortunate happening with their school. It burnt down. So we were able to mobilize our Choose Life and our Jordan's Principle workers and our family well-being workers to say, okay, well, how could we, in the meantime, assist this community with land-based education, looking at resources to really move to the First Nation community. So we still continue to do that for any other First Nation community that requires additional support and advocacy. So that work continues as well. So we are having a Choose Life Forum coming up, March 4 to 6 in Thunder Bay. So it's called Healing the Spirit. I know our youth are a very integral part of the Choose Life programs, but we'll also be working with your Choose Life coordinators at the community level, bringing them up and looking at ways to really evolve the program, the Choose Life program as well. So those dates are very important. I mentioned over our course of our journey with all these various programs that are meant to help your communities at the community level. You have the Choose Life, but also you have that family well-being program. You have your family well-being workers there as well, contributing to really looking at ways to really assist your children, youth, and families. I know that family well-being is a provincially funded program, but it's supposed to really address domestic violence and keeping children out of care, providing safe spaces. So we continue to advocate as well to ensure that your communities are maximizing all these resources that are available to your families. Jordan's Principle as well, that is a ongoing initiative that we have a bilateral table with Indigenous Services Canada with respect to Jordan's Principle, because we know that there is still a lot of challenges with Jordan's Principle with the wait times. It was also decreed by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal that it should be only a certain amount of times before those applications should be dealt with. So we're still applying pressure and also getting feedback from you and your communities and your community workers on Jordan's Principle on how we could expedite more of those areas coming through as well. So we are having a family well-being gathering March 5th to the 7th in Toronto. So that's March 5th to 7th. We are having a gathering with your family well-being workers as well. Jordan's Principle, we're also having a Jordan's Principle training event. That's happening, and all these dates I'll be giving to you as well when you're within your packages, but please feel free to come to me and my good staff here to really look at those areas. So Jordan's Principle is happening February 27th and 28th, so those are very important dates too. Just very briefly, going back to the band reps, we know that agencies are governed by provincial statutes and regulations and provincial legislation that guide them. So we found that band reps really do not. And so the fact that we want to have an opportunity to really look at standards or provide you with an opportunity to really look at like job descriptions, some of the training opportunities that could be available for your band reps to make them have those tools available so they can do the job that they need to do. And I know we don't want to really overwhelm your band reps as well, because I know they are the first point in contact between Child and Family Services or the First Nation or the courts and whatnot. And so we want to work with you to really develop and highlight how we could really develop those standards for your band reps so they could also be protected as well. So very briefly too, I want to mention that we are, you remember the organization we created called the NARC? Bunch of NARCs around here? No. It's called the NARC is an acronym for the National Assembly of Remote Communities. I still want to call it the National Assembly of Remote Communities Implementing Social Services Equity, NARCIS, that's me. But no, we're going to stick with NARC. And we're going to have our second national conference in Edmonton. NARC has charter members from us, NAN, also from northern Manitoba with Island Lake Tribal Council. FSIN, you'll remember that Vice Chief Pratt was running for national chief, but he's still working at FSIN, and he's our co-chair for NARC. And also we have Treaty 8 up in northern Alberta. They're hosting this gathering. We also have a delegation from Labrador and Northwest Territories as well, talking about those issues that we face as remote communities. The fact that of matter that many times our communities are always given the short end of the stick in terms of resourcing and funding, and why, like, I think we heard it today that the cost of living is so challenging. Like $1 in Thunder Bay is different than $1 in, Webequie or Bearskin or even Chapleau Cree and, all these different areas as well. And that's why we continue to, establish a needs-based funding formula through this thing that we call the RQ. We developed an RQ table where we're, like using economics, we're quantifying how much it costs to really deliver child and family services, not just child welfare, but also, prevention and working on those areas. So that work continues. And we have our friends from across Canada in the same boat. They want to really have a united voice and looking at ways to really work together, albeit saying that we all are very different regionally, but still there's a lot of commonalities that we need to build on with the fact that, many of our communities are fly-in. Many of our communities have to drive large distances to access specialized services for our children. There's some communities across Canada that have to use a barge or, especially our winter road season. We've heard it for the past couple of days. Climate change is really affecting our opportunities to get capital and infrastructure within our communities. So we want to really, we know we identify a lot of the challenges, but I think as a united front in terms of working with other remote communities across Canada, we could push for a further stronger voice. I know this is a Child and Family Services focused initiative coming up, but I know we've invited our Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth and Families to really go and represent NAN at that gathering, but if any chiefs do wish you want to come as well, please see me in my office as well, and we'll make sure that you're able to participate. And the NARC gathering is happening at the Expo Center in Edmonton. That's where they had the National Elders Gathering last year. So that's where we're going. Treaty 8 is hosting it at the Expo Center, and please see me for more information where if you're interested in going, or would like to send maybe one of your band reps or your child and family service workers, we'd love to have them. And so moving ahead, it's going to be quite the week. And so those are areas that we that's coming up that we'd like you to mark on your calendar. And I just want to also get into some of the important areas. All these things are important, of course, but I want to also bring to you that our Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families, we want to present to you a revised terms of reference, because our role has been changing. And I think we heard today, too, that we need to really look at ways of, harnessing our old traditional ways of governance and moving ahead. But also, we find that many of these initiatives should be led by chiefs with technicians and individuals that are really well steeped in a lot of the work within Child and Family Services to help guide along NAN's regional visions on those particular areas. So I have a brief PowerPoint. I'm not going to go through it all, but basically we want to get a resolution really updating our terms of reference to include a more wide variety of chiefs and technicians to the Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families. If we could go to the first slide. So very briefly, like the CCCYF, terms of reference is out of date. The operating landscape has changed dramatically, like I said, including legal developments and program reforms. The CCCYF requires an updated terms of reference, including a mandate with a new context. So our revised terms of reference is proposed by Chiefs Assembly here. I don't know if we'll be able to bring it today. I don't know if we have quorum, but we will be bringing it to vote to really update the terms of reference as well. And basically, like it was, if we go on to the next slide. Yeah, the Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families was established by a resolution back as early as 2013, and that's when I started back at NAN. I was a Director of Social Services then. And the original mandate was to support a NAN-specific Aboriginal child and youth strategy. And the mandate changed in 2016 to support the development of First Nations laws. You've heard of C-92 and the inherent jurisdiction of many of our communities to make their own laws. So our Chiefs Committee was poised with the task to support those initiatives, ensure that there is resourcing available for you to establish your own laws in child welfare. Like some of the examples include the KI law that's now in place, and that opportunity where many of our First Nation communities to enact their own inherent laws moving ahead. Next. So what the landscape has been changed dramatically, including, like I said, the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, child welfare decisions and orders since 2016. We have intervener status, leading to how we got the Choose Life program was because of the intervener status led by the Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families. And as a result of that, the Choose Life program was born out of those negotiations. Also, the remoteness quotient work, the RQ work, that really defines what it costs really to develop child and family services. And the RQ work, may I add, could also spill into other areas like education and health, because as we know that the work there really looks at needs-based resourcing for the work that we identify as very important in our First Nation communities as well. Also, Canada's reform implementation of Jordan's Principle, and also, like I aforementioned, the Bill C-92, the ability to make your own laws as well. So I know many of our communities are also in the early, if not mid stages of developing their own child and family services law, and that's great. And we'll continue to support politically and with advocacy in those areas as well. Next. So again, like through the CCCOIF, there was establishment of the National Assembly of Remote Communities, and also the Agreement in Principle on Long-Term Reform that was signed back in December 31st, 2021. Also the new compensation. We're going to be talking a little bit about that a little bit after this presentation. The final settlement agreement that was court approved in 2023. Also the expected reforms, including the renegotiation of the 1965 welfare agreement. And you know that 65 agreement is a bilateral agreement between the federal government and the province. The federal government reimburses the province 93 cents on the dollar on 4 areas, which is Ontario Works, homemaking. You know, some of our communities harness the homemaking initiative where, you know, you bring these homemakers to your elders' homes and help them, you know, with daily chores, all those areas. Also, early years. You know, we mentioned too that early years is a very significant part of those funding areas too, that we need to be really prepared for and resourced to really ensure that we are resourced properly for early years. And of course, child welfare. So those 4 different areas. So your staff and the Chiefs Committee is also really working very hard in terms of making sure that Anishinaabe Nation's voice is not forgotten in these negotiations, whether it be Treaty 5 or Treaty 9. So, and we recognize and affirm that there are regional processes, like, although we are there for advocacy as well, if your First Nation is engaged in these negotiations on your own, we don't want to step on anybody's toes in those areas. So we want to really ensure that we respect the First Nations goals in those particular areas. Moving ahead. So the revised terms of reference mandate includes providing guidance and direction to the NAN Executive Council with respect to all advocacy, policy, Anishinaabe Nation program matters impacting children, youth, and families in behalf of Anishinaabe Nation affiliated First Nations. Also, the mandate also states that to support, report to, and provide recommendations to chiefs in assembly. So the Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families doesn't make those decisions that will impact your communities. We bring them here. So with suggestions, with all different matters that may provide in terms of recommendations for children, youth, and families as well. So we, the CCCOF, the Chiefs Committee, is accountable to chiefs in assembly. So next. So the revised terms of reference, the role is to provide technical support, guidance, and direction to the NAN Executive Council, particular to Executive Council members who hold the social services portfolio, and through the appropriate NAN Executive Council members to NAN directors of programs within the portfolios. So to provide that technical support, that political guidance as well, that's the role of the CCCYF. Next. The revised terms of reference includes the membership. I know that the voting members have one chief representing each of the 7 tribal councils, or one or more chiefs representing First Nations not affiliated with a tribal council. So it's really open door policy in this particular area. If you are, have information or want to share with the Chiefs Committee, that's always an open door policy as well. The non-voting members include myself, Deputy Grand Chief, holding the Social Services portfolio. Again, we have the Ishkadzik Council member, one Ishkadzik Council member. We also want to include the one Women's Council member, also an elder appointed by the committee. And also we have executive directors or reps of our Child and Family Service Agency, which include Kunawinamano, Tikanagan, and Peokatano as well. Next. So the revised terms of reference, meetings, at least 4 meetings in person per year, at least 1 per quarter at the calendar year, supported by the NAN director and designated staff. Travel expenses are all reimbursed for all of our members. Honorary is also provided to the chiefs, proxies, and council reps. Next. Miigwech. Okay, so there's the, we're going to be providing a resolution for this particular. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so can we have the, did you want to do the resolution? No, this one's not on camera. No. Sure. Okay, so we do have I believe we do have quorum. I'm going to turn it over back to the chair. But before we do that, did anybody have any questions on the terms of reference, or do they do that during the?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, anybody have any questions regarding or comments regarding the terms of reference? Basically straightforward, but the thing is, we want to ensure that there is representation, also technical guidance, and we have people around the table that would help the chiefs as well with technical expertise, knowledge keepers, all those different areas as well in terms of moving ahead. Yes. Oh. When in?
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Oh, you? Oh, okay, go ahead. Maja.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we got first resolution. I'm looking to the resolutions team. I want to make sure we have a number. Where's the resolutions team? So the version I have is not numbered, but it's titled Approval of Revised Terms of Reference for Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth and Families. Has that been handed out? Do they have copies? Okay, it's going out right now. Has that gone around the... Chiefs, do you have that resolution? It should have been just... Okay, if we can do the chiefs first. I just want to make sure they have a copy right in front of them. And then it will be... Oh, there it is on the screen. Resolution 2406. It is up on the screen. You are... This,
Don't use that.
Don't use it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll give you one.
Okay. So the version I have is outdated, and I'll just wait for a copy, or I'll read what's on the screen. So it's being handed out. If you didn't have a copy, I would read the entire resolution, but we'll get you to read it, and I'll get a copy as well. Again, it's titled Approval of Revised Terms of Reference for Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families. Just want to make sure I know Chief Lorraine Crane is here as the mover, seconded by Chief Alex Batiste, who was here. Is Chief Batiste? If Chief, okay, he's probably not here. If he's not, I'm going to ask for a seconder, but I'm pretty confident I'll get a seconder, so I'll go right into the resolution. You all have a copy? Anybody not have a copy in front of them? Okay, you have a copy, so the resolution, again, for the record, 2406, approval of revised terms of reference for Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families. So it reads, therefore be it resolved that NAN Chiefs in Assembly approve and accept the revised terms of reference for the NAN Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families, and further be it resolved that Chiefs in Assembly mandate the NAN Chiefs Committee on Children, Youth, and Families to be the dedicated coordinating body to oversee and provide direction on social service matters related to children, youth, and families on behalf of all NAN-affiliated First Nations. Dated at Thunder Bay, Ontario, the 7th day of February, 2024. Moved by Chief Lorraine Crane, who is here. Seconder is not here. Do I have a seconder? Opening up the floor. Do I have a seconder? Oh, I saw two hands go up. Chief Corsten, Chapleau Cree will second. So we have a mover and seconder. Chief Crane, do you want to speak to the resolution?
Good afternoon. I'm fully in support of making our families better, and I think it's so important that this work continues. Thank you.
Miigwech, Chief Corsten? No comments? Okay, floor is open. there are any comments, questions, or otherwise on the resolution. Floor is open. Third and final call. Any comments, questions, debate on the resolution? I see none, so with that, I'm going to call for question. Any opposition to the resolution? Any opposition? I see none. Any abstentions? I see none. All in favor? Let's get some exercise. Thank you. Okay, so with that, resolution is carried. I'll turn it over again to Deputy Grand Chief.
No, thank you for that, Chiefs. Okay, we're just going to move quite along here. At this time, I believe I'd like to request we go into camera for the next two areas. I have information that I'd like to share with respect to the long-term reform, the coordination of this compensation that's coming down that is only privy for Anishinaabe Nation chiefs. Regarding the compensation, you'll hear the $23 billion settlement class action as well, and what's our ability to do about it. So,
we're good?
Yeah.
Get right into it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to go in camera.
Okay.
So I will need a motion to go in camera. Again, okay. Is that the motion to go in camera? Okay, all right. Again, the recommendation, this is a very soft in camera, just turning off the live feed, asking media, industry, and who else? Government. It's been a long day. To leave the room. Everybody else can stay. NAN members can stay. Everybody else can stay, but we'd have to turn off the live feed. So can I have a motion to go in camera? Chief Taylor, thank you. Any opposition to going in camera? Okay, I see none, so we are now in camera. Once I get confirmation that the live feed has been turned off,